Welcome back to Student Hub Live, Broadening Horizons Careers Advance. Well, in this session, I'm delighted to be joined by Chan, who is from our Careers and Employability Services. And we're going to be focusing on from CV miss to CV hits. CVs, I think, are one of the most common things that people think, the Careers and Employability Services definitely help me with that. And you can. So, Chan, can you tell us why employers use CVs and also why our students should have up-to-date CVs?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Hi, Karen. I do think that even though things have moved on in terms of recruitment processes, employers still use CVs to shortlist candidates. And if you think about it, you've got loads of options to use your CV. So, for example, for volunteering roles, for graduate jobs, for internships, so all of those different things. And also, if you are sort of applying speculatively, you can always add your CV and explain to an employer that you are looking to see if there's any opportunities available. Now, in terms of having an up to date CV, I think it's really important that students spend some time creating an up to date CV because if you spot an opportunity, then all you need to do is make a couple of tweaks and then send them off. Now, it can take a bit of time to sort of create your CV to make it concise and impactful. And don't forget that you only have a short time to actually make an impact to the employer. So I definitely think spending some time talking about your skills, talking about your history is going to be of value.
And it's really hard, I think. Sometimes the hardest things to sell are yourself, aren't they? And often,
Yes.
you're not always in the mood, especially if you're feeling stressed or maybe you need a job. And so, it's good to do it in advance, I guess, when maybe you've got some time to think about how you might present yourself in a really positive light. So, what sort of content then should be in a CV? I mean, gosh, I'm not even sure thinking about if I know if I'm still up to date with mine. What
Yeah.
sort of things do
No,
people
it's
put in nowadays?
Yeah, so it's very tricky because there's so many things that you want to say in a CV. And generally speaking, you only have about 2 pages to actually write all your content. So I'm just going to talk about a couple of mainstays to expect in your CV, but do take that as in do tailor it to your own situation. So I've got an image up, hopefully, just to show the examples of the types of content to include. So the first information that you'd like to include is personal information. Now, in this section, I'd recommend that you include your name, your address, email address, and things like that. What I would recommend is to stay away from putting your date of birth, marital status, things like that, because employment law actually protects you against, employers not using that information to shortlist candidates. And then the second section is your professional profile, or it could be called a personal profile. So you might have different labels for that. Now, I actually find this is one of the tricky sections to complete because you've only got 4 or 5 lines to actually write this. And in this section, think of it like a blurb for a book. So you've got a small section just to say, does an employer want to know more? And in here, I would recommend students talk about sort of their general experience or and key transferable skills that you want to sort of tell an employer. And you have to keep it concise and try not to be like very cliched. So sometimes we might sometimes see students say things like, "Oh, I'm a great team player, but I can also work on my own." It's not very unique to yourself. So do contact us if you'd like some help talking about that because you've got lots of experience from your past working to what you're currently doing now. So I know it can be quite hard to complete. And then the third section is the employment section or employment experience. You can actually label this in lots of different ways. So, say for example, you're a law student and you're gaining legal experience, I would put that as a sort of a subheading as legal experience and then your other experience. So here you're talking about all your past experiences in terms of work, but then also you can have things like volunteering experience as well. So you can put that into a subheading as well. So there's different ways to actually present this. And then the another subsection that you can have is education and training or qualifications. And here, definitely mention your open university degree. Include any past qualifications as well, such as like A levels, or if you've done any other qualifications like the Access course, for example. What I would recommend here is don't include the module codes. It's a very we're all very versed in sort of the module codes, but for an employer that actually doesn't make actually any sense to them. So talk about the top level in terms of your qualification, like for example, psychology degree, for example. And then we've got achievements. That's another section that you could include. And this can include things that you're quite proud of, or if you made an actual impact in terms of, say, for example, sales or customer service, for example. So use this actual section to actually showcase that, for example. And then you always see references on a CV. What I recommend is just to maybe say references available upon request. I don't think at this stage you need to include all the details of your referee. They normally need that at the end stages, if you do, get that job basically. And then finally, I would say skills. We talk a lot about skills that you gain, and this could be through volunteering, work, your academic study. So there's a lot of range of skills you can actually use and to showcase, because they don't forget they're transferable from different sectors and different jobs as well, and we can help you with that as well.
Well,
So
gosh,
yeah.
there's a lot in there, isn't there? Lots to think about, but it's helpful, I think, breaking it up into those sections. Now, you've got some to show us, some examples of CVs,
Yes.
and there's two different types. There's the more chronological one, and also a more skills-based CV. Can you show us those and
Yeah.
talk about when they might be useful for particular scenarios?
Yes, definitely. So I'm just going to showcase two examples today. But yeah, the first one is a chronological CV. And here you would probably use this if you are a career progressor and you want to sort of highlight your experiences to an employer because it's in date order. So, say, for example, you were working as a sort of HR advisor and you wanted to go as a manager. The chronological CV is a great way to showcase your past experiences, and I would definitely recommend using maybe that template to sort of, in your personal situation, this might be a great one to use. And then you've got the skills based CV. Now that one's really great for those that are changing career or looking to sort of move to a different sector, because the skills based CV is really great because it highlights transferable skills. So what we're trying to do is showcase something different to an employer. All your experiences, we're trying to sort of highlight the skills that you've gained and how that can be transferable to another sector. So we're trying to highlight potential and the skills that you've actually gained. And we do have other CVs as well. So do contact us if you want help with technical CVs or hybrid CVs or anything like that. But I just thought I'd show you two examples for today.
Chan, it's super, and there's so much advice. I know that Michelle's got, oh, my dog's just gone back to sleep now. She was sitting up paying so much attention. Um, uh, Michelle's got some questions, and we're getting really, really short on time. And I just don't want to miss the opportunity for people to be able to ask you things. We're not dealing with specific things in the discussions, but if there is specific advice, feel free to ask the advisors in our chat today. And if there's something we can't get back to you on, email studenthub@open.ac.uk and we'll try and get the right answer for you. Michelle, what are people talking about at home?
Well, there's one overarching question, and that's where do I get help with my CV? So if anybody can let me know, I can pass it on to the students. Or Chan, you look like you know already.
Yeah. Yes. So on our website, you can actually request a careers consultation, and we can actually review your CV. Also, don't forget we've got the career planning guide, so you can request that as well. And yes, so yeah, please get in contact, and we can support you. Yeah.
Brilliant. And Chan,
And
can we play this video after the end of the session? Because we've got a little video, but I think we'll play that in our break when we line
Yeah.
things up. So people can get an appointment and get their CV reviewed by members of the team. You've shown the planning guide, and there's also an upcoming CV workshop, isn't there?
Yes, there is. It's actually been very popular. So if it is fully booked, do look out for our next session. It's on the 29th of June at 2 o'clock. And
Brilliant. That's absolutely
you
perfect.
can So I was just going to say you can book for that on Opportunity Hub. So just to let you know.
Brilliant, thank you. And Michelle's put the link for that in the chat as well. So Chan, that's been an absolutely super packed session, and thank you so much. You're going to be back with us later today, aren't you? You're
Yes.
coming in to show us various things, so we can always pick anything else up later. But thank you so much. We're going to show you that
Thank
video
you.
now, which is a short animated video, and then we'll be having a break and showing you another video, and then we'll be back to deal with our next session. So I'll see you in just a few minutes. Bye for now.